Well, guys, congratulations. This has been something I've been looking forward to do for you. We had a 30-year reunion with our 1990 team on December the 20th, and we brought the guys in on a Sunday, and we kind of reminisced about that year and how much that season meant to us, but really we talked about the relationships that we had and how special it was that winning season gave us a reason to stay connected all those years. And I'll get back to that, but right now all I want to do is talk about 21. I mean, you guys were absolutely awesome. And there's a lot of things, but this was basically a 2-year season. We all remember where we were, what emotions we went through in Kingsville a year ago, and how much that hurt, how much we thought that there was some things that we couldn't control in that game. Not everything was our fault, but that's kind of like a life lesson. But what y'all did is y'all didn't make it an excuse. You used it as a motivator. And even though COVID kind of made things difficult for us, y'all did a tremendous job of doing everything you could to put us in the position to be able to be in the Final Four. And, I want to start off with you, Houston. I'm going to go from sophomore to junior, and then let our seniors now. I want to finish up with Coach. But of course, there were so many games where your role, we talk about roles on championship teams. I do believe that we're only as good as our best player, but if we don't have people that play a role that are unselfish and get it and make sure that they do their goal each time, we're not sitting here tonight. So Houston, it's your turn. Talk about the season and talk about your favorite memory, and you've got the floor.
Yes, sir. I just want to say, first off, thank you to these 3 seniors. Without them, we would not be here, not be able to put a banner on the wall in a really long time. And like you said, we did have a sour taste in our mouth last year. And during quarantine, during COVID and all that, we got together and we said, what is our goal? And our goal is to get to state. And we all looked at each other and we said, we're going to do it. And we went through trial after trial, even off the court, because we had a week off that we had to miss. That were 2 big games for us. And that break, I think, helped us a lot, helped us get away, find ourselves, and come back ready to play. And when we did come to play, we were really good. And we kept on playing through district. We won in triple overtime against Fred, which was really fun. And it's always good to beat your rival. And then, again, played them here and really stomped them. So we kept rolling on, getting to the playoffs. Just had a really fun time. And again, we get to Somerset. We faced early adversities throughout the game, got down late with only a couple minutes left, and fought back, and were able to hit the game-winning shot by Devin to get us to the state finals. And when we did that, it was just overjoyed because we finally accomplished our goal. And it was just really nice to do after 2 long years of working hard.
It all started your freshman year. We weren't expecting you to be on the varsity your freshman year. And then, of course, a few things happened. Took you to the tournament, one of our tournaments, and you proved yourself. And I think we kept trying to fire you, and you wouldn't ever let us. You just kept producing and kept showing up. And, that was your role had a lot to do with us being in regional finals in 20, and then, of course, the Final Four in 21. Well, Rashaan, it's your turn. Of course, I've known about Rashaan Galloway since the 4th and 5th grade when you were playing with Coach Tate and Burdick. And, we had always hear about Rashaan Galloway. And you know what? A lot of times what they say about somebody about what a competitor they are is kind of overstated. But I'm going to take this opportunity of talking about, I'm telling you, you talk about big shot Rashaan, and that's who you are. And we can't tell our story without talking about your freshman year where you knocked down that shot in Cuero. I've got that film. I was down on them, and that old guy was running and doing this when you hit that shot. Because that was big. We needed to start catching big fish in that round, and you did it. But you constantly, we talk about Devin's shot, which was just awesome. But that big three you hit in that game was huge. But also, I'm going to pick on you two. Without your mental toughness and your competitive desire, y'all are so important coming from football. And very seldom do great teams have such a contribution from, guys like Houston, Hendricks and Rashaan Galloway, who, play football, play baseball, but everything I'm doing is the most important thing. So when you're in football, that's your most important. And then when you're in basketball, you make us all feel like that's the most important thing, and nobody wants to win on the floor more than you two. And y'all really are a huge part of not only this team but our athletic program because you're so unselfish and you're so competitive. And Rashaan, you're a winner. Sure. And that's the bottom line. So I want you to that's my segue, but I want you to kind of talk about this team and kind of talk about maybe some different things that Houston didn't touch on.
So I guess going in from 20 when we lost in the regional finals to Stafford by 1 point, kind of gave us that edge going into this next year. And, we lost a great player in Matthew Corey, but we gained a couple, had Devin step up. Houston had to step up coming into his sophomore season. So, we talked about it over quarantine a lot, like Houston said, and just making sure our goals were set, wrote them down, just talking about it every day as much as we could, especially that I was in football. Couldn't get in contact with a lot of them for a long time, but getting back into basketball, I kind of set my head straight on what our goal was and what we needed to do. And then what separated us from the 20 team was just how competitive we were. Practices were by far way harder than the games were. Just competing against these guys every day was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Maybe a better man, maybe a better basketball player especially. Just going up against these guys. All three of our seniors are going to go off and play big level college basketball. So, them helping me, improving me, just taking parts of their game. Just thankful for it, and it's just what separated us from last year to this year. Just our competitive nature always kind of got us through those hard games, especially going down against Somerset, and then just the will to win is what really helped us propel to win that game. And then kind of against Hargrave kind of went down a little bit where we fought back, actually got a lead in that game, and just things didn't go out our way. So it's a great season, great guys.
Houston, Rashaan, thank y'all.
Sure, thank you.
Devin, Rashaan started it. He said it. He said Devin's came through. We talked about last year, and we needed someone to take that Matthew Corey role. But we needed someone that was, 6'6", to take it. Because what we do, the guy in the middle is the most important thing defensively. I preach all the time that the guy in the middle of our zone should be the defensive MVP every year. If your team wins the district championship and you run zone and there's a guy in the middle, that's the MVP of defense, because you're the one that makes us able to do all the other things that make things difficult, because there's a lot of man offenses, but there's just so many things you can do against a zone. But I'm telling you, in that state Final Four you played, and we talk about getting better each game. Devin, golly, we needed somebody in the middle so that we could do what we like to do, and you came through. And first of all, I'll just say, hey, thank you, man. I was nervous, and I didn't know how we were going to be able to do, but each time Yeah, you and Houston do just a tremendous job of doing what has to be done. So it's your turn, and I want you to talk about the season, what was a turning point to you, and maybe a game. Of course, I know the shot was huge, but we'll always talk about the shot. But it's your turn.
Well, first off, this whole season, I mean, all of us are going to remember this for the rest of our lives, just every single part of it. But I always think about the Somerset game. We're up by 10 pretty much the whole game, and then we just got down by what, five with a minute left.
Yeah, it was 5.
And we're in that timeout, and I guess we all just came together and knew like this was our goal, this is what we worked for, and we came through. So that was a great moment, and I just felt like I had to step up for playoffs. Big moment for me was at Fredericksburg. I wasn't playing that good. I probably I missed a wide open layup in the beginning of the game. I remember that. And I guess from there I just knew I had to step up, and especially in the playoffs, because I had 0 points going in the first half against Gonzalez. We're only up 3. I just knew I had to step up. And then I ended up scoring 17. We win by 30.
That's right.
I guess I just always considered myself a gamer, In the big moments, I step up, and it's great teammates.
Well, you did step up. You talk about the Gonzalez game, and we were all, we'd had that week off, and then, we were, as they say, it was probably a trap game. It could have been, but we kind of got over ourselves after halftime and came back, and just, that was a segue into the playoffs, because we needed to have that confidence going into, our biggest game of the year, going to Lamarck. And you were big on that, because if we don't have someone in the middle when they're all flying through there, it's not possible. Well, Joaquin, you were with us 2 years, and last year, it's just so good to, have a slasher that was such a scorer. And you did such a good job. And, of course, we needed someone to step up to win this region in the Somerset game when it mattered. And we, after, we hit the big 3. But the key is then you finishing, and you did a great job. But I want you to talk about, you were with us 2 years, and just talk about, what it was to come into a place and them welcome you. Shoot, you had to have recognized, what a family this was and how they received you. You came in October, and then you just you never looked back. It's your turn, Joaquin.
Well, last year I came in and these guys welcomed me with open arms, and coming into last year I was just trying to figure out what role I was going to play in, what role they play in. And so then when Rashaan and Houston and Matthew came back, I figured out what role I need to, come into and stuff like that. And then going into the Stafford game and us losing, we all came together that off season and talked about our goal for next year, which is this year. And that Somerset game was, I was struggling through the playoffs this year, and then that Somerset game, I was just looking at the clock with a minute left and we're down by 5, and I was just we can't lose right now, not again. And so I just stepped up, and yeah.
And you did step up, and you did that for 2 years, and really in the 2020 playoff run, we needed. I've got a few sayings that I go back to all the time. You're only as good as your best player, and my deal is maybe not the best player, but the player on the team that needs to have the ball that can create their own shot. And you can't win. We're watching March Madness, and what ends up happening, it all comes down to making big plays and hitting big plays. And Joaquin, thank you. You did that for 2 years, and we wouldn't be sitting in here. We wouldn't be putting up a banner, and hopefully we can do it again. With those 3 on the end, they, we can do it again. But Ben, of course, that Phillips name, Tommy, played on, in Boerne basketball. So you have a lineage, so to speak, because Tommy Phillips, your grandfather, I mean, he played on our baseball teams back in the mid-'50s, played on basketball teams down on Johns Road. And so for me to see him enjoy this, and then see your dad who played athletics here, played basketball and played football, it just means a lot to me to have a third generation. And then what even makes it better is that you were able to do something those two didn't do. And but Ben, I can tell you, when you were hitting all those threes last year, I kept going over my scorebooks and going, man, I think Paul had that many. And then I go, well, I think David did. And I'm going, man, I looked, and Ben, no, you're the man. I'm telling you, you're the man. And but just kind of talk about your development as a player, and then just kind of talk about this season.
Well, honestly, I would say I just, after like my freshman and sophomore year, I just kept practicing and just getting in the gym, shooting, getting my shots up. And then my junior year, honestly, I want to thank all of you guys for passing me the ball and trusting in my shot, I guess. And then, just to carry on from last year into this year, just keep shooting, just doing what I can to best help us win. And obviously, I guess it helped a lot because we're putting a banner up there. So honestly, I just want to thank you guys and thanking God for helping me. And just, it's awesome playing with you guys. You guys like the best teammates I've ever had. And it's just amazing to just have just a great system and a great coach to help us win a lot of games. And yeah, it's just awesome to see how we're all here together talking about state and winning games and stuff.
Thanks, Ben. Luke, it's your turn. You've been with us 4 years. You were on the varsity as a freshman. And, when you were a freshman, we thought, that's a guy that could, kind of like maybe a David Shivers or a Robert Moore that can take us. And, I knew you had it in you. And then, some nights, you proved us right. But I want you to kind of reminisce about those 4 years and talk about what your favorite memories and what this team means to you, Luke.
Well, first of all, I got to thank you for trusting me and bringing me in my freshman year and letting me experience that, because I think without that experience, I wouldn't be the player I am today, especially my freshman year. You getting on to me, you coaching me, because, I came into the system and thinking I was just going to have it easy and get on varsity. And I remember the first scrimmage we had here, I was late and you let me have it. And I was like, oh, well, there we go. I can't just glide by like middle school. So since my freshman year, I thought that was the best team I was ever going to play with. And then these guys came in, and Houston, Rashaan, Devin, Keem, Ben, we couldn't have done it without any of these guys. It was the most unselfish team I've ever played with. We lose one of these guys right here, we wouldn't have made it to where we. Every single one of these guys have had big moments, clutch moments in the playoffs, regular season, district, you name it. Everybody has stepped up. I just want to thank all y'all guys. And it's been crazy. Our goal was obviously to put a banner up to get to state, and we did that, and it was a great moment. Obviously, we wanted to win that last game, but this was our goal, and we did it. So yeah, it's crazy. This ride's been crazy. I thought my sophomore, junior year, I was like, man, this has been a long time, and then boom, it just blows by. COVID happened, and then all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, dang, it's over, and but no regrets at all. This has been the best 4 years of my life for sure, and best coach I've ever had. So yeah. Well, Luke and Ben, Joaquin, you have to have senior leadership, and in 58 had seniors, and 90 had the Shivers, and then 08 had Robert Moore. And you guys, we're not here without you three, and because you had 3 different roles. And I'm glad you got to enjoy it. I'm glad you have a number. I want to switch. We're going to finish up with Coach McHone, but I want to look at y'all in the eye and tell you I want to thank you for being the type of players that let him coach you. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is, what's the problem, any generation, is the people that don't want to be coached. And Luke just nailed it, is going, hey, my freshman year,
I thought I was going to run the show just like middle school. And I walked in, he made me accountable. And so I thank him, but I also thank you six, because you could be different. Y'all could go, we're football players, and you got to treat us a different way. And Devin, you could have a different attitude. Joaquin, you could go, hey, I'm not from here. Well, every one of you are just key, or we wouldn't be here if we didn't have you all six. But I want to thank you for letting us coach you, letting us push you, letting us yell at you. And then because if you don't let people coach you and direct you, guess what? We're not sitting here. And so that has to be said, of course, because there's teams that could be here, but they wouldn't let us coach them.
Yes, sir.
And so I want to thank you for letting us coach you. Coach, it's your turn, and I want you to talk about this team and then kind of sum it all up, please.
Okay. Well, like you said, I think for these guys it was a 2-year.
It was.
It was kind of a build-up coming into last year, because I don't think anybody thought last year that we were going to be in that position that we were in. I mean, we maybe did, but I don't think anybody else thought that we were going to be in the regional finals last year. And then for me personally as a coach, I think it's been, for sure a 12-year build-up, if not a 32-year build-up with my career. Because as a coach, you learn through all the playoff wins and losses and things like that. One thing I think that I haven't mastered it for sure, but I think I've learned is that you got to stay calm. Mm-hmm. You got to stay calm. And if you can stay calm and give your guys, just one or two things each time out and help them to just relax and play. Because I think that's the biggest thing about basketball, because it's about making shots, and we know we can make shots, but you just have to relax and do it. And, I think you talked about Rashaan hitting that shot, his freshman year. Well, that shot then built upon, he hit one against Fredericksburg in triple overtime. He hits the 3 at Somerset. We were down 4. Yep. He hits it, now we're down 1. And then that just, I think we were just relaxed, because I think nobody thought we were going to lose that game. Like Joaquin said, we knew we were going to win that game. So it's definitely been, I think we definitely learned. I mean, I was, after that Stafford game for a couple of days, if not weeks, I was a wreck. I was an emotional wreck after it, because we'd kind of gotten so close, almost to your goal as a coach. You want to get to state. And I'd been with you for sure on the 08 team as an assistant, but it's not like bringing your own team. It's different and stuff. And so to get all the way there and then to lose, it was just really defeating. But I'll be honest with you, COVID happens right after that game. I was driving down to the state tournament, and I get a call and say, they're not having it. I'll be honest with you, I think if we had won that game and then not had a chance to play in the state tournament, it would not have put the chip on our shoulder. But because we lost that game, we came into this year definitely with a chip on our shoulder. And so I think that kind of set the tones for the season. And then you talk about, we've had teams, my 12 years, we've had teams that won 33 games. We've had teams that won 29 games, and that weren't never sitting here. And it was, you could say it was this, it was that, it was an injury, or whatever the thing, whatever happened. But with this team here, super unselfish team, super coachable team, allowed me to put them in a system and play in a system that I think benefited all of them. But if you look at it, if you go down and you go, okay, what do you need? Well, you got to have a shooter. We got, check.
Yeah, we do.
You got to have a point guard. You got to have somebody that can lead and be tough. You check.
Have a slasher.
You got to have a guy that can come in that can do it off the dribble. You got to have a Swiss Army knife in Luke that can play inside. He can play outside. You got to have a 5 in our system that can shoot from outside and post up. And then you got to have a guy that's a first-team all-district player but didn't start. Did you start any games this year? 1. Okay, and last year 1. So you started 2 years.
He
So
doesn't need to start.
2. He's not a starter. You know what I mean?
Man of the year.
Yeah, he's 6th man of the year, and so that's what we had in these guys. And then we got 6, 7 other guys that aren't here that push these guys to get to this point. And so I think we had a very unselfish team, a mindset that we were almost there. And because we got a little taste of it, now we want more, and then we were able to come back and do that. And there were so many obstacles in our way this year. I mean, we had to play a back-to-back playoff game.
Yeah.
We had to drive to Joaquin, play Lamarck of all people, all right, and then turn around the very next day and go play Lavernia, a super physical team. We overcame that, and then we overcome being down 5 with a minute left, against Somerset. And, one of the things that was, we work on, because they're so coachable, we're able to work on things like this. So that guy dribbles the ball off his foot in Somerset, and we have no timeouts, but we have the ball on the sideline. Well, we all knew what we were running. Everybody knew we were running Wizard, so we run this play, and then that gets us down the floor, and then we knew what we were running. Still no timeouts. We still knew what we were running. And so that's just them being coachable. That's just them being coachable and everybody kind of being on the same page. And then, the ball went our way. I mean, let's face it, it kind of went our way this year. It got into Devin's hands. Luke did a good job and he got fouled and they didn't call it, but we knew they weren't going to call it, And I think we learned that. We learned that from the Stafford game is that, hey, there were calls in that Stafford game that should have been that weren't, and we just kind of learned, hey, guess what? We're not going to let that happen again. We're not going to put it in somebody else's hands. And we're going to make our own stuff, and we're going to go hunting, right? True hunters are going to hunt. And so it was just, the entire year was just, a great build-up to our goal, because we really did talk about going to state, because they don't really want to talk about it a whole lot. But I thought with this team, we needed to talk about it because we were so close to getting there, and obviously you heard him say, "Put a banner up, put a banner up." We used that language a lot. We want to put a banner up there. We want to be that team, because when you're at a school that only puts banners up for state tournaments, then that's a high goal. We were able to achieve that, and like I said, and Luke summed it up really, really well. Is that if you look at it, every one of these guys had big moments in big games. Big shots to big rebounds to big passes. And we were just so hard to guard because we had so many different weapons, And really, their ability, their unselfishness of saying, okay, hey, they're guarding me a certain way, so now we're going to go to this guy. Boy, it really opens, as you know, that opens up your offense, And then and then we did such a good job of buying into what we do defensively. And so if you take all the things that you have to have a successful team, you got to have buy-in, you got to have great players, obviously. They got to be unselfish, they got to be competitive, they got to be coachable, and you got to have leaders. And, that, like I said, this was one of the things that we kind of had. We checked every box this year. And we walked into every game with a target on our back.
Yes, you did.
Because we kind of got up in the rankings at the beginning of the year and we never fell. So every time we walked in the game, it was like, oh, Bernie, number 5, number 6 is coming to town. And so we always walked in with that huge target on our back. And, I think it's easier to play kind of from behind if you're the underdog. I'll tell you what's tough is be the favorite every game.
That's right.
Be the favorite every game. Be the front runner every game and try to go win those. And that's what we were. And so I think that speaks even more volume to these guys to kind of what they accomplished this year. And I just want to thank them because this was my first, and hopefully not my only, but definitely my first as a head coach. And what a joy it was. Only one team, we talked about this, only one team gets to finish the year without losing, but I really felt like that we attained our goal and that we were good enough to get there, and we proved it to everybody that we were that team. We weren't a team that was just overrated anything like that, and that we were that team, and that we won big games, and we won close games, and we won against all different kinds of opponents. You know, we won against the athletic teams, we won against the physical teams, we won against the zone teams, the man teams. You know, whatever people threw at us, you know, we were able to kind of overcome it in different ways too. So just an outstanding year, just something that I think that we will remember forever. And I know that, you know, the guys on your team, that, you know, they formed that, this helped them form a relationship that they'll have for forever. And I can already see it happening with these guys, because the seniors haven't been with us, you know, and this is kind of the first, this might be the first time that U6 have been together.
Since the last game.
Yeah, since the last game. And so just to have, because, you know, with spring break and then seniors go here and then everybody's going different ways and things like that. So just to sit in the office and then while we were waiting and listen to them talk and things like that, you can already see kind of that bond happening. And so that's really neat to be a part of and special to be a part of.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you including that, because I want to look at all of you and tell you, you know, we are here today because we had our 30-year reunion, and that team, like I said at the first, success gave us a reason to be called back for 10-year reunion, 18th, and then of course one day they'll put you in the Hall of Honor, which is neat, and you'll put your plaque in the hallway, and but it's all about the relationships. And relationships are what got you here. And don't ever take that for granted, and don't ever take for granted what you did and what it took. So that's your life lesson, no matter what you do past Boerne High School. It's all about relationships. And I told 90 all the time, I said, relationships, relationships, relationships. Everything else is everything else. Appreciate y'all. And like I told you that night, 58, 90, 08, now 21. And let's look right there. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, go Greyhounds. You got it?
Got it.
1, 2, 3,
Go Greyhounds.